Hello, and welcome to 10 Very Big Books, a Malazan Read-Through podcast. My name is Peter Bond, and with me today is my friend and closest confidant, India Jones.
This seems like kind of like you have to say it, and I would like more emotion when you say it. Also, hello.
Okay, with my producer, AJ Fileri, how are the levels, the bars?
The bars and levels look better than they've ever looked. They look like they moved to a new house 2 hours away from their old one.
And last but not least, in the year of our Lord 2023, it's Twashua Tween Twaker. How are you doing today, buddy?
I'm positively terrific.
And shout out to Sam for submitting that nickname. Thank you.
Twasitively is challenging to hear.
All right. So does everyone have the script open?
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, I see here it says...
Okay. So, okay. Don't say it. No one say it.
Oh.
Okay. So no one say it. But at the top of the document is like kind of the vibe I was thinking we should try for the intro. So AJ, do you want to take a pass at that?
Well, I had a different idea.
Okay.
So the answer is no.
So no.
So the answer is no, you don't want to take a pass. My idea was, quote, political, but sexy, but also keep it brief. Period. So what was your vision?
Talk about briefs. I don't know, something about Joe Biden's underwear or something.
Briefs,
I don't know.
Legal briefs, sexual briefs.
Yeah.
It's a brief bit.
Boxer briefs. No, I wanted to shout out Ryan in our Discord.
Okay. So
I thought
totally.
you meant Paul Ryan.
Okay.
on my stuff!
Do you want to take us to the correction section?
Sorry, my cat.
India is peeing on your stuff?
Yes. Peed on my purse.
Bummer. Can I leave that in the podcast?
Yes.
Okay. I'm so sorry about that.
And now she's fucking... Yeah. Hold on.
Did you want to take us to the correction section?
Yes, let's take it to the correction section. Shout out to Ryan in our Discord who said, let's see, and I quote, tagged me, said, yo, how is there no discussion in this episode, the previous episode, on the chapter 19 reveal that the bone hunters are going to free the crippled god? And I said, that's a great question.
And I just want to say, in my memory, I brought it up on the show and you all were like, and then moved on.
You brought up the conversation with Malazan, Galani, and Kisware and Sinter, but not the fact that they had said that they were going to free the crippled god.
Because as always, I'm not trying to tell you anything. So I was trying to see what you guys would bring up from that conversation.
Sure, but that does feel like pretty critical info.
Well, I assume
that we all somehow missed.
I didn't know that.
Yes, I also did not know that.
I remember it, and then I didn't... As pointed out by other people when we admitted, well, we didn't have the scripts ready for this one, that was my problem.
Yes.
If I don't see it, I have forgotten it.
I just want to get on the record, I knew. Okay.
Great.
Yeah, you read the books already, bud.
Just wanted to clear the air on that one.
Yeah, just to paraphrase the section, Malazan Galani is talking to Kisware and Sinter and says, oh, we're going to Kalance. And then Sinter is like, oh, yeah, we're going to go kill the crippled god. And then Malazan Galani is like, no, actually, we're going to free the crippled god. And then that's why Kisware is like, oh, no wonder that everybody will abandon us if they find out the truth. I will be the one to, I'll be like the first person to jump ship. So that's what happened. And that's what you missed last time on Survivor.
If we're just shouting things out before we get into the show proper, there was also an awesome discussion about the mortal sword, first sword situation in regards to Decim Ultor. So I just want to shout everyone out for kind of clarifying that, because I believe on the pod last time we talked about Decim Ultor as the mortal sword of Hood, and we were kind of talking about the origin of the title first sword and mortal sword and all that stuff. So cool stuff.
Cool stuff. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. And listen, we have a ton of stuff to get into today, because we are very excitingly closing out Book 9, Dust of Dreams. Woo! So the plan today is we're going to talk through 22, 23, 24, and then we're going to have a short, tiny little music cue, and then kind of get into a tiny little, just a scoosh of our thoughts on Book 9 overall. We're not really going to do a retrospective episode as we normally do when we finish a book. And the next episode after this one will be The Crippled God Part 1. So we will be plowing through. So we wanted to take the end of this book to briefly reflect. So let's talk more about that then. And now get into chapter 22. Chapter 22. The snake is getting situated in the Crystal City, finding water and food. Badal reflects on her past, children, and Braiderall. Sadik is exploring, learning more about this strange city called Icarius, a peaceful place built for Jagged and filled with mechanisms. Badal has found Braiderall and banishes her from the city instead of killing her. With the Bone Hunters, Fiddler is trying to figure out what happened to Stormy and Gessler. Their tent is slashed apart, and they are missing. They talk about what could have taken them. Winged Kachane Chamal called Shigal assassins. They think that they were needed by the Kachane Chamal matron. Bottle comes back to the tent, finding Quick Ben unconscious and speaking about magic in the wasteland, and all of the powerful ascendants who now walk there. Kenna worries about Fist Blistig, who is evading his responsibilities. Blistig joins him, and they speak about Stormy and Gessler. Blistig thinks they deserted. They both meet with Tavor, and Blistig argues about rations. A Blue Rose soldier, Henar Vigolf, meets with Bryce. There is discussion around the Kachane Chamal, a god, and how the Blue Rose are treated within the Lethari army. Throughout the rest of the camp, we see soldiers deal with the difficulties of the march. Korob contrasts Leomin to Tavor. We see speculation around Ruthin Gud. Hellion collapses, and Cinter reflects on trauma. Finally, Stormy and Gessler awake. They're with Caliph, the destriant to Kachane Chamal. She says they are to join her. Stormy will be the shield anvil, and Gessler the mortal sword of the Kachane Chamal. They both deny this, but then they curse as they see their army approaching. AJ, we start in the city of Icarius, and we see that the snake has arrived. And we learn a little bit about the city, and we kind of check in with Braiderall, the Braiderall story, and Badal. What did you make of this kind of opening? There's several passages here that I kind of condensed.
Yeah, I think it's fucking rad.
Cool.
I think it's cool that the city is named Icarius. It's full of mechanisms. It's like, okay, yeah, I get it. I understand what's happening. I've always liked the Badal stuff, and as we've gotten deeper into the book, I think I've liked it more and more. And so I like all this stuff where she's talking about just like her dreams and stuff, or just like the places she has gone in her mind. I grow wings. I fly across the world, across many worlds. It's just very good. And then the Braiderall stuff, I don't know, compassion, right? Like that's the whole thing. So it's, just
yeah, I mean it's a classic, of course, It's a
classic. Yeah, exactly. That's like we're not taking vengeance. We're just being like, well, do better. It's basically what we're saying here. And then expelling her from the city.
It's cool to see, to learn more about the city, and also to see them kind of making it a home in a way.
Yeah, it is very interesting.
It's always curious to me what world building stuff interests me and doesn't. For some reason, this type of thing, I'm like, want to know everything about it. But then other stuff, I'm like, okay, stop talking about this. I don't need to learn more about this subject.
Yes.
And I have no idea what the difference between those things are, But regardless, India, to move us along to where the Bone Hunters are. So listen, obviously right now we all know the resolution to a lot of this stuff, but I would love to know when they're trying to figure out what's going on with Stormy and Gessler. Like, where were you at? Were you putting the pieces together? Did you understand? Like, tell me about what your journey here.
Well, my journey was, I think I spoiled a lot of the Stormy and Gessler stuff for myself.
Is that true? Oh, no.
In one of my, I was researching, and honestly, I to be fair, I knew I was going to do it. So I was like, I already knew what was happening, and which I guess takes away a little bit from like the surprise of it.
I mean, you find out a little bit later, but by the looks on Josh and AJ's faces, you did not put that together in this scene.
No,
I was like, weird. I knew they weren't.
Yeah.
I knew they weren't dead, but like I didn't know they would be the thing that completes the whole storyline we've been confused on the whole time.
Yeah, I had no inkling for some fucking reason. It's another one of those things where it's like once you know the answer, it's like, oh well, fucking duh.
Yeah,
like
100%.
what else would it have been? So I don't know if that's like nice job book or if it's like bad job AJ's brain. You know, like I don't know where the blame lies there, but I had no idea at the time.
Well, listen, I think we should just talk about this now. Let's just, because obviously we touch on it.
Freeform stuff, yeah.
We talk about it at the end of the chapter, but we should just resolve it. So India, here we kind of see Stormy and Gessler meet with Caliph, and they're our trio for the Kachain Shamal. Our Mortal Sword, our Destriant, our Shield Anvil. What do you make of this kind of posse that have arrived?
It's bad as fuck.
Awesome. Tell me more.
Well, you know, they did a good job leading the Kachains.
Now, what do you think about this idea that like why do you think the Kachain are having these human leaders in this way?
Colonization.
Okay, interesting. Tell me more about that thought.
Well, I don't know. These fucking Malazans just come in and act like they're the best and that they can do everything. And then you're bound to be like, well, I guess if they say so, these people are bronze. Why not? I trust them.
Take the bronze ones.
Yeah. Confident, tall, dark men. They, what else do you need?
Strong.
Josh, what did you make of their arrival? The fact that there are these things, this kind of reveal at the end of the plot line. Obviously, we'll talk a little bit more about it later in the other chapters, but here.
I mean, like AJ said, it was one of those things where it happened, and I was like, yeah, I should have gotten there. Should have put that one together. Kind of, like a crazy pull though. My big thing was, I think my thought was, so I've waited 7 books for this? Like, what a weird thing to put into motion in book 2. And then it happens in book 2. Nothing comes of it for 7 books. At the start of this book, we're like, hey, what's up? We're going to have this whole Kachain Shamal storyline that feels super disconnected from everything. Psych. Remember book 2? They're here. The payoff has happened. Impressive, but like, part of me felt like, it's been too long,
Interesting.
They've been Bronze Fire Boys for so long that I don't even think of them as Bronze Fire Boys anymore.
Really, that's all I think about when I think about them.
My thing now that I think about is the fact that they were like fucking admirals and stuff and generals. That's what I think about. Which then, makes more sense why they were chosen to be the Mortal Sword. Like they've literally led armies, so.
I think about them as they're good friends, and I enjoy spending time with them. That's my thing.
They're good friends in the weirdest way, though, because they are so mean to each other.
Oh, yeah.
Do we think they're a couple? Just throwing it out there.
I think the better question is, do we think they've been a couple?
Now, that's the best reading of it, I think. And it was messy. It was a messy time.
They're better off as friends.
They're better off as they're better off as friends. Okay. So AJ, there's we kind of then talk about Fist Blistig a little bit, and there's some worry about him, and there's a brief scene with Tavor. So do you share any concerns about Fist Blistig? What do you think about the kind of leadership of the Bone Hunters at the moment?
Well, Josh gave a knowing so I think maybe you should ask Josh, because in the last week, some of this stuff has left my brain.
Okay, Josh, what do you think about the leadership of the Bone Hunters?
Blistig sucks ass, and I've been saying it for a while, and I felt very vindicated.
You felt vindicated that Keneb spoke up and was like...
I've said for a while that, like, all this dude did was not send his people to their deaths in Arryn. Look, I'll give it to him. A lot of other people did, but that does not make you capable of leading, half of an army. And I have felt for a while that he is fully hamstringing the Bone Hunters. So glad to see slowing them down and making them inefficient, or just otherwise kind of working against them. But I've felt for a while that he's been a detriment to them, and I'm very glad that other people are finally catching on that he's a shitbird. So
Thank you for sharing your ballistic thoughts.
Those have been Josh's ballistic critiques.
A blistering take. Inge, so we actually we learn a little bit about the racial dynamics of the Blue Rose and how they were kind of like treated pretty poorly in the Lothari army, and learn a little about their interior structure through this point of view of Henar Vigolf, I don't know, but I'm a big, let the record show, I'm a big Henar head. If there are any, so shout out to my guy. Did you, this is kind of a throwback to the Blue Rose and learning a little bit more about them internally. What did you think of this little scene with Bryce and learning about Henar, the Outrider?
Let me think on that for a sec. I have to reach into the recesses of my mind. I don't really remember.
So not a huge impression on you.
No.
Is it am I the only Henar head on the podcast?
Oh, he was cool. Listen, if anyone can match up to my girl Lestara, then that's a man, you know? Did I find it weird that Lestara has not felt anything for anyone except Pearl for so long, and then all of a sudden this dude did it? A little bit. Did it feel a little forced, like we need someone to feel bad about in a later scene? Kind of.
Is this like they're just like a nod to like end racism exists?
It's a curious thing you bring up, because sometimes their racism does exist in the books.
Right.
I felt more like from a historical thing, like, first off, the Malazans do the same thing. I think Coltane being a fist as part of the native population was like a pretty big thing, right?
Yes.
I'm pretty sure most of the time they do absorb people more than other historical empires do. Like in Rome, if you were not born in Rome, the best you could be was like the leader of your squad or something like that. I think they were kind of alluding to that. And Rome, Lether's always been very like Roman influenced, I feel.
I feel like I should know something about any kind of history to care about that.
Yeah, but you see, boys liked you in high school.
I didn't go to high school with boys.
Jesus.
Yeah,
oh my God. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I went to an all-girls high school. I was scared of boys. I didn't think that they were nice, so I didn't want to go to school with them.
They're not.
Yeah, now you know they're not nice.
And now I know they're not nice, right?
Yeah, Inge, it's a funny thought you mentioned. I think about it sometimes. I feel like usually race is mentioned in this type of way where it's like, oh, insert racial group, they're being treated badly, and we briefly learn about them. I mean, like, we do follow the Wiccans and how they've been kind of mistreated by the Malazan Empire pretty throughout the series, you know? So, but I don't feel like it gets much more into that besides the idea that sometimes racism happens and that's bad.
Yeah, they like mentioned skin bleaching, and I'm like,
yeah,
random.
I'm like, part of me is like, okay, tell me more about this.
Right.
You know?
Like, but also not. But also keep it going.
Yeah.
I've also definitely, until just now, realized I fully did not picture this guy as a Tisti Andy. It's really throwing me off now. I constantly forget that that's what they are.
Are they black?
They're kind of washed out, Tisti Andy, aren't they?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if they're as...
Yeah, but like fantasy black. Not because because Kalam and Quickben are from Seven Cities, and I believe are dark-skinned. But like Tisti Andy, dark-skinned, but Tisti Andy are like the color black.
Like black.
Yeah, I imagine them as like
purplish blue.
Yeah, but the Blue Rose are like a lighter grayish shade, I think, right?
Probably.
Yeah. Well,
Peach shaking their head. What?
Let's get out of here, guys.
Yeah, it feels like a fraud territory.
Let's keep moving.
All right. So anyway, AJ, we see a variety of we touch in with a variety of soldiers throughout the camp. Did any of them catch your eye? Did you want to kind of shout someone out? And AJ, this is a leading question. There is a correct answer.
Ooh.
There is a correct. Okay, well then let me be really sure.
So there is a correct answer, and I hope you know that.
I mean, my stuff's always with Bottle, so if Bottle's not the correct answer,
yikes!
Ooh, don't think it is.
Yikes! Okay, Josh.
Are we talking?
Josh, did someone stand out to you?
I'm gonna take a stab in the dark, and I'm gonna say Ruth Ann Good.
Oh,
yeah.
India.
Oh,
Did
no.
someone stand out to you?
Let me think.
Is this someone you wrote in the summary? Because otherwise, I don't remember who they talked to.
I'm gonna say, let's say Smiles.
Oof, AJ. So you were gonna say about Bottle.
I love Korab.
Boom, baby. Korab.
Okay,
Shout out to my guy.
We love Korab.
I do love Korab scenes. They're always fun. What happens in this one?
He's
Oh, okay, yes, okay, yeah. This is where he's all upset about them capturing rats and like tying their tails together and stuff. And he's like, "Hey, don't do that."
and he's thinking about Leoman and thinking about just like,
Oh yeah, great stuff there.
I don't know. It's fun to see him reflecting on that relationship we saw firsthand in Bone Hunters. So that I found that compelling.
And there's a new iron, cold iron, hot iron, bitter iron.
Bitter iron. That's
Well,
right.
Pete, what did you
Wake up! New iron just dropped.
what did you like about the Korab stuff, Pete?
I just love Korab.
Like, what did you like about that comparison?
And there is a wrong answer.
Okay, interesting. I think it's interesting to compare, since Tavor as a leader, you're kind of being firsthand put in the soldiers trying to make meaning of what Tavor is and who she is as a leader, and him comparing that to Leoman, who is obviously such a different type of leader and treated his followers in a really different way. So I think to just kind of sit in his point of view, I found compelling.
I do think this line, they talked as if they wanted a Leoman, but Korab knew how that was. They didn't. If they got a Leoman, every one of them would end up getting killed. He believed the adjunct cared about them, maybe even too much. But between the two, he'd stay with her every time. Good line.
He's a part of the team, you know? Korab's here.
He is part of the team, and he is here.
So you were going to shout out Bottle, though, so we can actually talk about other soldiers. I just thought, in my mind, I was like, AJ's definitely going to bring up Korab. I know what AJ's going to say.
Korab was on the tip of my tongue.
Clearly it wasn't.
I'd like him to be the tip of my tongue.
Oh,
Okay.
That was spicy.
Thank you.
I don't remember where it happens, but somewhere in these chapters, Korab's or someone's like, "Oh, Korab, you're lucky all the time," and he's like, "Not all the time, just when it counts."
Yeah.
Which I thought was a really good distinction.
I think at one point he says, "I'm lucky in all the wrong things," and he just names like minor inconveniences that he's not lucky about, which is so good. It's something like that. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I love him.
No, I mean, like, I don't know. I hate to be a broken record, but like these sections where we're talking to all the soldiers, I'm just kind of like,
sure.
Which I feel like here at the end is like not the time to be doing that. But I regrettably, that is what happens, and I'm sorry about it.
Well, listen,
Like in the moment, I'll be listening or reading to the book, and I'm like, oh, cool, and then it like right out of my head. Like it does not stay.
and you know I feel very similar. So here's what I think we should do. I think we should thank our Patreon backers and then move on to the exciting battle in chapter 23. So let's
special shout out to all of our patrons, including Thomas, Ian, and James, and John. Thank you all so much for backing, and shout out to everybody else who has backed us on Patreon. We really appreciate it. There will be an Epigraphs and Osmosis Jones episode with Josh and Pete up on the Patreon post haste, as well as there's a special video thing happening that will be available to everyone, but is made possible by the support we get on our Patreon.
And spoiler alert, the Osmosis Jones takes were not.
Josh, you cannot spoil the takes. You cannot spoil the takes. That's what the paywall is there for, baby.
You're so right.
Josh, can you give us just by the way, this is not going to go on the episode. Can you just quick give us your best Naruto impression?
Believe it.
Believe it.
That's Naruto?
Yeah, I can. I have
Inch, do you want to take a stab?
No.
Believe it.
very frequently to upset HR. I will go, but HR, it's my Nindo, my ninja way, and I don't know why, but that phrase really truly upsets her.
I guess she doesn't want you to follow your Nindle.
I'm gonna become the Hokage.
Okay, chapter 23.
I want to hear this person say believe it.
Believe it! Believe it! Believe it!
There he is.
So believe it! Then believe it! Believe it! Believe it! Believe it!
Believe it! Chapter 23. Abstral fears what is coming. The message from Falash foretelling a great confluence of chaotic powers. She rides together with Spax to warn the parish of the trouble. They agree they must ride for the Bone Hunters. Kisware is riding towards them, but sees that they are already on their way. She is encountered by the Kunjal scouts. She says she needs to be taken to the army. As she gets closer, she meets with the Parish and the Balcando. There is a meeting, and they discuss the omen of betrayal, the Parish riding to the Malazans and going with the Kundral to the Bone Hunters. Masan Galani encounters 5 Talani Mass, the unbound Talani Mass. They speak about becoming seen again. Tool and the Talani Mass are summoned by the Malazans, but Tool refuses the call. Bryce is reflecting on Empire and war when Aranict interrupts him and says they are in the wrong place. Keneb sees dust clouds. Banishar feels wind blowing out of a warren. He starts sweating blood. Ruthann Gud rides out, his sword crackling with magic. Fiddler is rallying his soldiers into formation, and Bottle watches the sky. Cinter tries to find officers, but Tavor declares it is too late. They can't stop it. The K'chain Naruk are coming to fight them. Quickben throws acorns all around to prepare for the battle. Ruthann Gud rides towards the army of the Naruk, an army 40,000 strong, his sword wrapped in ice and frost. The army and the Marines watch him, some thinking Gud is a storm rider. The Naruk advance, carrying wired clubs that ignite with bolts of lightning. They engulf Ruthann Gud. Bottle watches the power of their magic, and Captain Keneb is killed. Gud climbs out of the crater, thinking it wasn't too bad. Fiddler's soldiers aim for the nodes within the Naruk's formation. Quickben aims his acorns as well. The Naruk strike back at Quickben. Ruthann Gud is overwhelmed, and battle overtakes the Bone Hunters. Tavor's position is overtaken. Dozens of officers die, and she is badly wounded. Lestara is knocked back by a huge lightning bolt that struck Quickben. Bryce considers trying to ride to save Tavor, but sends Henar. Elsewhere, Gaul sends Kisware away from the Kundral to alert the Parish. Back in the trenches, Fiddler is fighting and retreating. Korik is killed. Bottle is buried under corpses in a trench. He watches the Naruk walk by and sees a Wivel above. The Kundral near and charge the Naruk, but they ready their lightning weapons and devastate the Kundral riders. Bryce leads a charge in afterwards and is shocked to see that some Kundral have survived and still stand in battle. Wivels die down to attack the Naruk, more and more as Bottle reaches to the edge of his power. Tar, Herb, and Hellion all battle as Henar nears Tavor, but he is badly wounded. He watches as Lestara Yil shadow dances, defending Tavor's position. Kisware drags herself free, looking around at all of the dead soldiers. We'll get to the battle soon, but first, let's talk about what's going on with the kind of Parish, Balcando, all of these various forces. Josh, there's kind of a meeting of the minds over here as Kisware brings some news, and we see these various factions, and they also discuss the omen of betrayal. So what did you make of this scene at the camp and seeing Kisware arrive? And what do you think of these various forces that have kind of arrayed themselves?
I know the answer is he's sort of made it logical and it needed to happen. But it feels crazy to me that the entire Malazan army has no idea what's coming. All of their allies know what's coming. And somehow this princess of Bakando is somehow able to, like, they never say the word K'chain Naruk, but it feels like everyone knows that it's the K'chain Naruk. And I just am so lost in a way as to how they were able to get that information and all of the crazy magic stuff that gets that info to Abrastal. It is a lot, in my opinion. In a series that, in my opinion, really prides itself often on, like, the harsh logic of the limitations of magic in this world and things like that. I was like, this one, and I do understand. I want to put it out there before someone asks me. I know Mail is involved somehow, but, you know, Bug is so intertwined with Bryce. How is it this the way that makes sense to get the information? It was a lot to me. I will say one thing I have always appreciated about Mr. Erickson is very few of the characters, there are some, but very few of the characters in this book suffer from dumbass syndrome, where they do the absolute stupidest thing all the time. I was very happy that Abrasta was like, this seems like bad news. I need to immediately get this info to everyone else, and then we need to get there as fast as possible. I was like, yes, that is the correct choice. Very happy they did that. Made a lot of sense to me. However, then, like, when Kiswer's like, day 3 on my horse, and I'm just now finding these guys, I was like, oh, okay, well, this doesn't fucking matter. You know, they're not going to get there in time. You know, so I thought it was interesting. Some questions about the magic stuff. Overall, pretty cool. And it's a first where it was the first time in the series where, spoiler alert, all of the mobilization stuff to get everyone together at the end of the book, as happens often in Malazan, it's like the first time that fails and they don't get there and a fucking massacre occurs. So I thought that was an interesting take on that too.
AJ, did anything Josh say echo with you? And do you have any thoughts about this recurring omen of betrayal?
I totally agree with everything Josh said about Abrastal, like immediately being like, okay, well, we have to figure everything out now, to the point where, like, when she arrives at the parish and Krukava's like, hello, my queen. She's like, shut the fuck up. I have things to tell you. We need to get going. And I think I love that. I think that's great. And this omen of betrayal, refresh my memory with it. What is the omen? Or is it just like there are several omens?
It's a recurring element.
Can I jump in real quick? Because you said that, Peter, and it did make me realize, like, I know we've heard about it a bunch, and obviously we know that the shield anvil is, you know, not working in everyone's best interest, but we didn't really, did we see a betrayal in these last chapters? I can't think of one.
Kisware brings a message, quote, the adjunct says, O mortal sword, that betrayal does not suit the parish, nor the Kundral. Come to her, she asked. There is a betrayer among you, and by that betrayer's word, you doom the bone hunters.
Is she saying that if the parish had a destriant by now, that they would have been able to foretell some of these things and they would have known to pick up their pace? Could that be it?
Interesting.
Because otherwise, I can't think of anything the Shield Anvil has done that is necessarily acting against the bone hunters' interests. You know what I mean?
Well, listen, I think if that didn't stand out to you guys, that's fine. And maybe we should leave that there, leave that camp, and move on to kind of the centerpiece of this chapter, which is this kind of epic battle between the K'chain Naruk and the Bone Hunters. India, how did you feel about this battle?
Well, I'm just going to start with these K'chain Naruk things. Like, I know that we have known them, I guess, but it just kind of felt, I don't know. It was really fucked up. They're crazy. They killed all the Malazans. It sucks. But also, does it? I mean, it kind of does. I take it back. It does. I felt very disconnected from them. I feel like I don't really know much about them. I did think it was cool that they have that cool magic with the floating things. That was fun. These scenes are very chaotic. I feel like they jump around a lot and it's hard for me to visualize. And I say that that's kind of one of my main issues with these battle scenes is that I never I can pick up when people die, but as to how and when it's being described, I just don't see anything. My mind is just pretty blank. So
interesting stuff. Definitely chaotic. One thing I felt rereading this passage was, and I felt this way about some of the battles in Midnight Tides, and it really depends.
That was what I was going to say, yeah.
When this feeling comes out in battle. But that type of chaos, to me, you definitely feel that when it's this type of disorganized scene. But one emotion that follows that for me is me being never put me anywhere near this situation.
I would just lay down.
Just Christ. Sounds like absolute hell.
The worst time. The actual worst time.
Oh my God, absolutely. AJ, how did you feel about this this battle between the Naruk and the Bone Hunters?
No, I mean, I think the battle was absolutely bonkers, buck wild, a great time. I loved
Absolutely insane.
It's so cool. I mean, it's on the same tier as the battle between Animandarake and Decimal Tor. Like, it's just like some real anime shit. Just like everybody's going 1,000 miles an hour. If we're like watching it from the outside, it's like a bunch of blurs, and then like every once in a while is like the freeze frame of two people like hitting swords together, or in this case, I guess hitting like, you know, lightning and fucking a magic ice sword or whatever the shit. Like, it's just so fucking cool. And I just had a cool time reading it, I guess.
Well, listen, let's get more into the detail. But Josh, I did want to hear your overall just feeling on this big battle.
I just felt very vindicated by the appearance of the Chain Naruk, because very often I think to myself, you know, if they have magic, why don't they just make a gun? And we did it. We did it, gang. We just did it, you know? And their guns shot lightning. Fucking sick. Like, what else?
God.
Like, what else do you need? I'm sorry, I'm having a good time here. They're shooting lightning guns. And, oh, what's that? The ageless man who, like, apparently knows everyone through history. Oh, he's got a lightning sword thingy and erupts and kills a legion of them? Yeah, having a blast.
Yeah, I think in a way this book delivers on the promise of Gardens of the Moon with Moonspawn. It's like, oh no, there's not just one. Like, one of the very first things we see is Moonspawn emerging and like shooting a laser or some shit.
Yeah,
and like that's the cover of Gardens of the Moon, and it's like in this book, it's like, no, there's more than one, and they are all shooting lasers. Yes, you're right. It is cool, and it's like, yeah, it is cool. I'm having a great time.
Yeah, I hope to God they never explain the guns or the backpacks. Leave it. I don't want to know anything. I just want to know that they can show up when I want them to and need them to.
Josh, counterpoint.
Yes, go ahead.
Want to know everything. I need, show me diagrams. Do you know what I mean? I want to know what's going on. However, I fully agree with you, Josh. If tomorrow Erickson was like, oh, we actually produced a whole book about it, instantly I'd be like, do not tell me. Steve, put that away.
Look, if we're going to read it, it's going to be like, so the backpacks harness the kinetic energy of the move, and I'm out. No, it's a gun.
Josh... Although you just said it, and all of a sudden I'm like, 1 second though, how does it work?
Well, I mean, we've gotten the layer of, oh God, what was it called? Is it blue iron? Is that what it's called?
Blue iron magic, yes, which the Kachin Shamal use. You're right.
So it's like we have warrens, we have holds, we have blue iron, and like to me, we know the same amount about all of like how they all actually work. You know what I mean? Like blue iron, just like, yeah, it just makes a lightning laser from a big spaceship. It's fine. Don't worry about it.
I think it's so you guys are kind of getting in after this, you're really kind of seeing kind of in my mind why the Kachin are maybe my favorite part of the whole world, you know, but
yeah, they're fucking rule.
I think it's such an interesting juxtaposition between, I would say a typical Malazan scene are two people like in a tribal setting. They're on the plains. They have like a spear and like a stone tip or something. And they're having some sort of conversation around like stories or histories. Do you mean this is like 40% of scenes or something insane like that? And then like that's like most of the world technologically. And then it's like, oh, by the way, there are the several spaceships full of dinosaur people with advanced technology.
Yes.
That's also going on, you know?
Yeah.
So I just love that those two things coexist.
Now I want to ask you a question. India, when the Kachin Naruk showed up, how much of the wild history of them did you remember offhand?
I Googled it.
See, I was wondering if that was necessary, because it's like a pretty specific part of the fucking Malazan lore.
Yeah, I'm really bad at that. I know, like, in the beginning, Peter was always like, don't Google anything, and I tried to stick with that, but this book, literally, I just said, fuck it, and I Google everything now. Everything. And that's why I spoil a lot of things for myself, because I get into these rabbit holes of reading about things. And I'm like, wow, what else can I find out? And then I'll like accidentally see the Crippled God book and read about it there. And I'm like, oh, oops. But I know.
Well, Inge, listen, that can be what it is, but I would be curious to know, do you feel like you trying to Google things has increased your enjoyment of reading the book?
Yeah, I definitely think I should have been doing this all along.
Then that's great. I'm sorry I kind of kept that from you in a way.
well, I mean, why would I spoil the book? Like what you're saying made sense. Don't spoil the book. However, when you don't understand the book, really the only thing you can do is go up from there. So, yeah, I do like Googling. I do like reading about things specifically because I forget a lot too. I don't grasp a lot of the things when I'm reading them. So then to go back and be like, oh, that's what that was trying to say to me. I'm like, oh.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I don't know if maybe let's try this approach and just kind of we'll see what we can get to. AJ, is there like a specific beat? I know there are a few that stand out to me that really stood out to you in the scene, in the battle.
Yeah, I mean, I think all the quick bend stuff is super cool. Like this quick bend section is rad. Let's see. The end of this section, I think, is like stuck with me. The high mage Adafan Ben Delat drew from a pouch a handful of acorns and flung them into the ground. He squinted once more at the deepness beyond the veil and then down to the Naruk legions. Monstrous in their implacability. Steal one away and it's damned near mindless. Gather them in their thousands, and their will becomes one. And that will is, gods below, it is so very cold. A lot of stuff cool just in that like section, bag full of acorns that do stuff. Love that. You know, we've seen acorn finists before. It was kind of cool then, but it's even cooler. And then just this like, you know, I don't know, I guess borderline poetic prose about the motivations of the Naruk as Quick Ben sees them. I just think it's just like really, really cool. So that's that. I didn't want to take the easy one, which in my opinion is the Ruth and Good showing up with the fucking cool sword and stuff.
Interesting. That's not. I wasn't going to pick the Quick Ben one. Inge, is there a beat that's from the battle that stood out to you?
I really love Lystara, and the thought of her coming out and being like, and now we dance. And just like doing her little shadow dance makes me so happy to think about. It's like, because I just don't even know what it would look like and like what, like it just, but it's just so cool.
It's awesome. The origin of that shadow dancing ability, and I think we learned in House of Chains, is like such a cool passage. It's such a cool part of Lystara Yill. And I just want to get on the record, shout out to my gamers. I imagine it as what Reaper's Ultimate looks like in Overwatch. Die. That's my image.
That's a capital G gamer moment right there, bud.
I imagine it as other gamers. There are twins in Majora's Mask, the Zelda game, that dance on one specific night, and if you dance with them, you get a special mask or something. That's how I see it.
Sorry, that was just me cracking open my gamer fuel over here.
God, you're
have a little
you're the goddamn worst. My favorite, thank you for asking, Peter. My real standout moments. First off, pouring out for our boy Keneb. Real bummer.
Yes, we are going to have to talk about some of that. So Keneb,
real bummer.
Keneb goes down. A good guy.
Good guy.
Is that his? Doesn't he have a son, Grub?
Yeah, that's Grubs. Yeah.
We followed him since Deadhouse Gates.
Yeah. The two real ones though. I love Tar and the heavies. I love that there's all this magic. There's bombs. There's guns. But that doesn't matter because we've got thick boys with strong hearts, and they're just going to stop these lizard men with their sheer power. And that's really good. Dude.
We got some big guys. Bring in the big guys.
There's just a whole paragraph about these thick boys being too strong for the lizards. Great. And then secondly, we've talked a lot about it recently, not on the podcast, just in our group chats. Some big Animorphs vibes from Bottle ripping his mind apart in order to control all these Wivels. Real Animorphs moment there, and I loved it.
God.
For
so
me,
much. This whole fucking scene rules. Holy shit.
For me, the shadow dance thing is so cool because I feel like that's for me the most emotional stakes I feel in the whole chapter. But I also feel that the satisfaction of the whole idea of the Wivel thing is so cool, and it's so cool to see Bottle doing that. Bottle is a great character. Love spending time with Bottle, and love it when he turns his mind into a bunch of Wivels to kill the lizard guys.
Yeah.
I feel like this scene alone is like if you were pitching this series to somebody, you would start talking like to a producer for a television show. You would start talking about this battle scene, and they'd be like so horny for it. And 3/4 of the way through, they're just like, "This can't happen. This would financially ruin me to try and make this scene." This is why
it's like you would just have to animate it if you adapted it. It would literally work no other way.
In these scenes too, Steve does this all the time. Like where it's like one POV, one POV, one POV, one like, and it like where it's so confusing.
So it that loses you, Inge.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. But like for me, it's just like hard to keep up with. But I get why, and it's really cool the way it's done. But like, it does confuse me.
One thing I'll agree with you, Inge. It wasn't that big of a deal in this battle, but in some other battles, it is like. The geography of the battlefield is really hard for me to keep in my mind. Whenever anyone's like, we have to go west, I'm like, wait, where? What's north? Like, part of me legitimately is like, should I draw a battle map and like trace it, get some minis going?
I want to say, I've read much easier fantasy books with much simpler battles that have included battle maps to do this for you. And I'm like, the next time I see that, I'm going to look at it like, you think I'm a child? All right, I can figure this out.
It's called Theater of the Mind.
Yeah,
look at
idiots.
Why did the Kachin Naruk, why did they just happened to cross paths with them?
Yeah, we should talk about this, right? Like this chaotic moment of these paths converging.
Like they were not like they were specifically looking for the Kachin Shamal, and they just ended up. Is that what happened?
It's what we believe, correct? And if I'm not mistaken, Peter, these guys are the ones who have killed everyone this book series, right?
Yes.
Sorry.
what do you mean by that?
This book, all the times that like people have just randomly died.
Those mysterious clouds are here. You actually probably are put in the POV of maybe what that experience is like.
So, and they've just been kind of going around the wastelands looking for the Kachin Chamal hive, which I don't know if we really knew for certain was in the wastelands, but.
And they're the last. Why?
Because this Kachin Chamal hive might be the last one with a living matron, right?
Yes.
Besides the new Gunthmok, and the Kachin Naruk despise the Kachin Chamal. Period.
Those damn long tails.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, I somewhat I get it. I get their complaint.
Elaborate.
I forget. Did the long tails?
So you believe in genocide?
The long tails made the short tails.
That is not what I said, India.
So wait, but if you side with the Chamal, you believe in eugenics? Is that what I'm hearing, Peter?
What is happening? I'm under attack.
Pete just loves bees. Save the bees.
The bees are dying.
Whichever one's most like a bee, Peter likes.
All I'm saying is if I was bred specifically to be a slave for the longtails, I would imagine I would probably feel pretty frustrated with the longtails. Okay,
yeah, you'd be a bit miffed.
I would probably be
a little miffed.
I would be like, "Damn, this fucking sucks." Yeah, maybe. Okay, so that's all I was saying. I wasn't endorsing genocide. Let the record show.
Sorry, this is what it sounded like.
I do just want to say this POV with Hedge seeing Quick Ben do some crazy fucking like huge magic, and the soldiers with him are like, "Gods, what was that?" And he just says, "That soldiers was Quick Ben."
Yeah,
he's just so fucking sick, dude. I love it so much.
Too
It's a good line. So Peter brought up the Conjural Burn Tears, and in this moment, I've just had a thought. Peter, do you think there's a connection between this charge of the Conjural Burn Tears getting absolutely wiped out, and do you think there's any relationship to the charge on the Pelennor Fields in Return of the King?
Well, I do think, and you kind of touched on it earlier in a way with like, oh, the forces are coming, but then they don't get there. I do think fantasy battles in general, and obviously in Lord of the Rings, the like battles happening, and then at the 11th hour, the dramatic, the forces from afar arrive, is like a classic way that battles can play out in stories. So I do think it is somewhat playing on that, but also it makes me sad, and it makes me unhappy. Makes my body feel negative emotions. That's how I would feel about the Conjur's Burn Tears. It's just something I wanted to share.
Yeah, if you told me in book 2 that, even 2 books ago that I was going to give a shit about any one of the Conjur's Burn Tears, my question would have been, the who?
Exactly. Exactly.
That was our question at the beginning of this book, Josh.
It was. Well, and look, because we've done, we don't need to get into it. They're great story building.
Just like makes me a little sad,
Do you know what didn't make me sad? We never talked about it. Was Tool murdering all of the remaining Largast. No tears shed.
We should loop. Kind of, it's weird we did skip that.
Circle back? Is that the phrase? Circle back?
Because, okay, let's take, do you know what?
What?
Let's take a Talani Mass time out.
Boo.
Are you not going to edit that in?
No.
Edit what in?
A whistle?
A whistle? I can do a
I'll
better
edit
whistle.
in a whistle. I'll edit it in.
All right, but yet you're booing my bit.
Yeah, it's not good, but I will do it for you.
It's pretty bad.
It was bad. I didn't get it.
Okay.
Let me know when we're back to talking about stuff that makes us sad, because I do have a thing that made me sad.
I have a thing I want to make sad too, but we must take a Talani Mass timeout. So,
yes,
AKA just a tiny trip to the Bone Zone.
Nice.
Now,
I've missed that stinger.
Me too.
So, first scene with the Talani Mass. India, what's that? 5 familiar faces? The Unbound Talani Mass? They're from Book 4. They're back, baby.
Who the fuck
Long
are they?
time no see.
Who are they?
They're the gods. They are Karsa's gods who were in the stones, and then there were 7, and Karsa killed 2 of them. And they appear. They're the ones who killed Hibor. No, they killed what's his face, and they almost killed
You're
Cutter.
right. They're in Book
Crocus.
6. They
Yeah.
show up in Book
Crocus
6.
et al. Yeah,
They almost
It
killed.
is
They
Hiboric.
almost kill Crocus. They kill Gray Tongue Frog, and they kill. They do kill Hiboric. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, yeah.
Assholes.
Yeah, they
Were
suck
you-
ass.
So, Inge, the scene didn't play as a huge reveal to you.
Hey, question for you guys. You ever notice that if someone sucks ass, they're bad, but if you say that someone eats ass, typically a positive thing?
They're an ally.
Yeah.
What about if they blow ass?
That depends on which angle you're at.
I blew ass today.
There you go. Damn, yeah, we've puzzled it out. Okay, blowing ass is all right.
All right.
You good, Pete? Can you recover?
I don't know if I can recover because it's just we did,
I love
I believe
this
you.
part.
We talked a lot about it, so checks out, Inge. AJ, how did you feel seeing these guys again? I know it's a short scene.
Yeah, no, I liked the scene. I thought it was kind of funny because it's just like because when they show up, they're like, we've been summoned, and then later you see, or I guess the next scene, you see Tool like deny that summons, and I think it's funny that only those five were the ones that responded. It's like, okay, great, the worst people have shown up to help. It's like, okay, cool. I did think it was fun that the one guy was like half incomplete because the bag of dust that somebody had found moving that wasn't Masangolani, right? That was somebody else brought it to Quickman and were like, I found a moving dust.
Yeah, that was the Sita.
Yeah. Did we find out why that made her pass out?
I think she has a weak constitution.
Didn't it knock her out or something?
She got knocked out by something. I forget what.
I thought it was like she showed the sand and it began to swirl and then she passed out. I thought that's what happened in that scene. Anyway, whatever. Masangolani brings this bag of dust back and it reforms this guy wholly. I loved that. That was so good. And also like fucking duh. When else have we seen swirling dust?
That makes
it's
sense,
obviously Talani Mass,
Mass.
you fucking idiot.
Talani Mass.
I had assumed it was the dust of dreams.
Of dreams.
Yes.
Yeah, we do get a Dust of Dreams drop.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
Yeah.
Josh, you wanted to say something about Tool earlier?
Yes, I felt very little sympathy for the Sengar. Obviously, there were some innocents in there, but
The Barghast?
yeah.
You said Sengar.
Oh,
Very different.
What's their tribe called though? It's really close to Sengar.
Face.
The Whiteface? The Sanan?
The Sanan.
Sanan.
Thank you. It was close. Yeah, I felt very little sympathy for the Sanan.
Well, Josh. Look who's pro-genocide now.
No. Let me think on it.
How the
Hold on.
turntables have turned.
Hold on. Yeah, I'll double down. Pro-genocide. Hundo P.
You heard it here first. We are 50%
Jesus.
pro-genocide on this podcast.
I'm just going to come out and say it. I'm anti-genocide.
You
Okay.
you spearheaded the genocide discussion.
I will put myself out there. I rarely share my political beliefs. You know, you don't want to expose yourself like that. But anyway, I'm done. I got no bits in me.
No, that was a good bit. I liked that.
Yeah, it was great.
I like a bit that has a concrete ending when you just say the bit's over now.
Joke's done. Stop laughing.
Yeah.
Wrap it up. Okay. We're all against genocide. That was a joke. Okay.
What else we got?
What else we got? Okay, so that's going to wrap up our Talata Mass Timeout, aka Just a Tiny Trip to the Bone Zone. AJ, you wanted to share something that made you sad.
Oh, I did. Yes, I almost forgot. Thank you.
Hysterical.
It is after the hedge scene and we see Quick Ben doing the cool stuff. It's a little scene that we get with Sunrise.
That's who I wanted you to. Oh, I'm so glad you brought it up.
Yeah. As Quick Ben is shooting lightning out of his ass and everywhere, one bolt comes near Hedge and Sunrise throws himself in front of it. And let me just read this section.
Is Hedge fully alive now?
Yes. Since
Hood is dead.
Hood died, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. He flung himself forward 3 paces that seemed to tear every muscle in his back and legs. He was a bridge burner. He was the man he had always wanted to be. He'd never stood taller, never walked straighter. And all because of Hedge. He was smiling as he flung himself into the lightning's path. Whoo, baby. It's good. We get another scene like that in a couple books ago, I think, that also hits the scene with what's the kid with the candles?
Oh,
Oh.
so good.
The scene with Beak, it's a very similar thing of like, I have friends, I'm doing the thing, and Sunrise is like, I'm a bridge burner, Hedge may be a bridge burner, hooray.
Now I'll die.
It's so sad, dude. Yeah, now I die. Fuck, dude, it's so sad.
To be honest, like I feel like this hits harder than like and he like Erickson tries that at other points as well, but I don't know why this one hits really hard in the way that some of the other soldier deaths don't, you know?
Yeah. I feel like this is like a very personal thing. You know, it's not like an act of battle or an act of war. It is just like a guy like protecting someone he sees as like someone to look up to, you know?
I want to be very, very clear when I tell you, if I were ever in battle with any one of you and a lightning strike was going to hit you, I would let it.
Yeah, 100%.
I would let it. And it's not because I don't love you, but like, do I have a death wish? Absolutely not. Like, I'm not going to go out like that are you kidding? Stupid.
I have no idea how to process this. What if we're not on a battlefield?
Still no.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have the constitution to do Secret Service.
A lightning? Are you with a smile on? Like, that's just not realistic. Like, no one's going to fucking do that. Whatever. Cute scene, though.
That's what makes Sunrise so extraordinary, you know?
Right.
He just wanted to be included in the group.
So die.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to never hear that
I've
name
always
again.
said most outcasts should just die to feel included. That does track.
He wanted to make a difference.
What was the difference? Saving one person? A life for a life?
Okay, well, Hedge, I would say, well, yeah, I mean, look, is one life more valuable than the next? It's a good point, India.
He made a
point.
beautiful sacrifice.
For what? Hedge cheated death already.
In the name of
Twice
love
now.
and companionship.
All right. Those are my 2 cents.
Well, thank you for sharing them. And listen, I think we should wrap up this section and move on to another pretty big battle-y chapter.
You sure you don't want to spend more time talking about how cool Ruth and Good is? Pretty cool.
We didn't really talk much about him, if I'm being honest.
I don't have much else to say. He's just cool.
I'm trying to think of like if you can do like he's Ruth and Good. He's great.
He's
great. Like Frosted. Yeah, thank you, India.
Oh, I see.
Oh, I didn't get it.
I did.
Thank you, India.
All right, let's do it. Chapter 24. Tool and Gnome Kala speak of anger, grief, and the dust of dreams. Caliph now stands with Stormy and Gessler in Amplis, now uprooted. The Sky Keep has taken to flying. Damaged, but still powerful. The matron is inside, insane, but still in control. They discuss that the Chagall have eaten the brain of the matron, and that the keep will only fly as long as the matron is alive. They discuss their responsibilities, and the Malazan are given Vagath as mounts. Stormy and Gessler speak of the situation in the keep. The K'chain Shamal and the K'chain Naruk. They set out to ride against the Naruk. Gruul flies above, admiring the two Malazans and the traits of humans. Stormy sees through the eyes of Gruul and witnesses the aftermath of the Bone Hunter's battle with the Naruk. They both wonder about what happened in the battle, but they know the Naruk are coming for them. Strahl sees the two K'chain armies marching towards each other, reflecting on the armies, but their camp is attacked by the Talani mass. Tool leads a slaughter of them all, even the children. Gnome Kala doesn't partake, thinking that these are crimes, that vengeance is terrible. Stormy feels that he and Gessler should have been there for battle. They near the Naruk. Sky Keeps come out of the Warrens, and a great battle follows. Ikariam arrives in a Sky Keep, Kals uprooted, and Sagtrok tells Caliph it is not piloted by a matron, but by the one who walks with them. Kals uprooted takes down many Naruk keeps. The battle rages. Ikariam is taking damage, though, and the ghosts urge him forward. Featherwitch gives him the errant's eye. He uses to create a finnis, hearing the voices of children, the voices of the Sheikh. Kals enters a gate, and a great tree of stone rises out of the ground, pouring sorcery from a boy and girl. Stormy's life is saved by Bent, and he watches as the battle starts to turn in favor of the K'chain Shamal. Gessler watches Sin and Grub approach them, Roach yapping. Sin and Grub says that the gate has been sealed by someone, that this tree is an Azath. Storm and Kayla speak about the future of the K'chain Shamal. They have returned to this world. In Kals, Sulket has become its matron. Elsewhere, Mappo feels he was close, but that he's lost Ikariam's path again. Tak sees their group and thinks about the Amass, and speaks with Alar Uthiel. Hood returns to mortal flesh, reuniting with 14 Jagged warriors. They set out to war. The errant is struck down by the destruction of his eye, and Kilmandros and Sekolath decide to end the world. Okay, so someone mentioned it. We get a little Dust of Dreams shout out.
The Dust of Dreams. Yeah, they say it.
They say it.
Dust of dreams, dust of all that we never achieved, dust of what we might have been and what we cannot help but be.
Oh,
there you go.
What a good quote. What a good quote.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so that's let's move onward then. I guess let's take to the skies. It's time. The Kachain Shamal.
The Kachain Shamal.
We're up in the skies again. We're back, and we're seeing a little bit more as Stormy and Gessler are kind of understanding the whole situation. And this obviously leads to the battle later. Josh, do you think the two of these prove themselves like proper commanders in the length of this chapter?
Yes. Next question.
Okay. Do you have any advice you'd like to give them?
No, I think they did a really good job of reminding everyone that they're in charge, and in their eyes, everyone else is expendable.
Okay,
Good
last
leadership,
question.
Good leadership.
Thank you. This is just a personal one for you. Which of the Dino characters is your favorite?
Oh,
There is a correct answer.
This is tough.
There is a correct
So
answer.
listen, let me say this. Absolutely, again, sucker for dumb fantasy shit. Oh, hold on. There's a quote I'm thinking of. Hold on. I can't think of it. Regardless, the moment that one of the Kachain Shamal is like, that's our Vexth warriors. Most matrons only have 300. She's made 50,000 or whatever it was. Just was so fucking good to me. There's a dumb anime quote. I cannot think of it. It's killing me right now. If anyone knows what it is, please tell me.
From what anime? Do you have any other information?
No, but it's similar to the thing I just said. And I have no...
Is it the Dragon Ball Z? His
Is
power
it the
level's
Dragon
over
Ball Z?
9,000?
Absolutely not.
Okay, because I was going to say,
that's like, wow, that would have been embarrassing.
once again referencing 2009 memes. Josh
Stale
Baker.
I
shit.
really feel like I'm so close to getting it. I'm going to take my headphones off till I get it. No more questions for Josh.
Okay. I want to just say that was not the answer I was thinking of.
Yeah.
So, India, did you have a particular Kachain character that stands out to you?
Gunmock.
Okay. Gunthmock rules. AJ, did you have one?
Garul.
Stop the podcast. I remembered. Okay, it's actually not from anime. It's from Hamilton. It's the Federalist Papers.
You
when
motherfucker.
When he's like, Madison made 10 and got 6. Someone only wrote 3,
Hamilton
and Hamilton made the others
61.
That's
Yeah.
that's what I was
The
thinking.
other 75.
It's the same energy to me.
About like the Federalist Papers or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Holy shit. That was not whew,
Wow.
the same
The Hamilton
energy.
Wrote the other 51.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's made another 30,000.
You know what? And now, and then you wonder why this poor woman went fucking insane.
Yeah, right? They said it's like wicked painful every time.
Every time. Yeah, because they were like, oh, why don't all matrons do several tens of thousands? And they're like,
Yeah.
oh, it hurts like shit, so they can only do like 300.
Yeah.
She really repopulated them.
Great job. Good for her. But I guess now we're rooting for the people who genetically engineered a slave race. I don't know.
Oh, God.
I don't know, man.
We've known them longer.
No, it's fine. We can vote for we can root for the good guys, the
devil you know.
imperialist.
All right. I guess I'm going to choose the Jagut. They're my guys.
They only erase the bad spots of cultures. As judged by them.
Hey.
This is a really.
The Jaghut love to kill.
Okay. So
That's just a statement.
all of a sudden, I can't enjoy time by myself.
It's just a statement. You're the one taking.
I'm back on Team Carson. Kill them all.
intention- There you
Okay.
go. There you go.
Witness.
End
Witness.
civilization.
Okay. Jokes aside,
Garul.
Garol rules.
Yeah.
Okay, well, who are you going to say?
Oh, the real answer is the bodyguard.
Garol. I wanted to say Garol.
I was going to say the bodyguard. He's
I like
cool.
Gunthmock though, so I couldn't actually shame your answer. It was like
Yeah.
I also love Gunth, so I couldn't come in as
I think I think Gunth is a real one.
To be honest, Gunth and Sag fucking get it,
Is
wanna
Gunth going to
fuck
be
them?
the matron?
Yes. Well,
All right.
Peter's pause makes me think the answer is no. So
All right.
supposed to be the new matron.
We're
is the
gonna
right
we're
answer.
gonna touch back once we get to the battle, but we kind of touched in with the greater camp here. And Josh, thanks for giving us a little bit of Stormy and Gessler performance review.
Yes.
But it is probably worthwhile kind of circling back to the actual slaughter of the Barghast here, because we briefly touched on it when we went to the Bone Zone, but obviously, sorry, we took a little trip to the Bone Zone, but I think it's worth getting more into. AJ, how did you feel about this scene and to see Tool do this? And do you agree with Noam Kala, who's pretty probably, you read it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Tool's kind of going through it, you know? He's just feeling his feelings. The only way he knows how. Massacre.
Yeah. Look, we've all thrown out an ex's, item or, punched a hole in the wall or eradicated an entire tribe of people.
We've all done it. Yeah. We've all done it.
I agree.
So what, AJ? Now you're supporting a guy
the bit has gone too far. No,
sorry, I'm so sorry.
No, I mean it's obviously a really complicated thing, and I don't think there's like a right or wrong answer. I think Tool is just doing what he feels. I think he has a line here between Noam Kala and him. He says, "You possess no rage." She says, "No." He says, "What do you find to put in its place?" She says she feels only grief, and he says, "Is there no anger in grief, Noam Kala?" Especially when you see the person you love be so brutalized and like killed in such a terrible way, I'm sure there's a lot of anger that comes along with that grief. And I said it as a joke, but I do think he's just doing whatever he's just working with the emotions he has, he is just he's sad and he's upset and he's angry and he needs something to take it out on. And so he's saying no to the Malazans. And because, they didn't, where were they when Hatan was, hobbled and stuff, and he's taking control where he can, I guess, is kind of how how it boils down for me. And so, as fantastical as it is that he destroys all these people, I do think it is a very relatable thing to just try and get whatever you can get your hands on, to ground you, and it feels weird to say that that's what's grounding him, but he's just processing grief and anger, I think, in a very real way.
Murder.
Murder,
Yeah.
but beyond the fact that it is actual murder, he is just trying to do something. You know what I mean? Because it's he and I mean all Talani Mass have sat with their sadness for so long, and so he finally felt something the opposite of sadness, only for that thing to be taken away from him again. And now he is feeling anger for the first time in millennia. How long has he not been sad? How long has he not been angry? How long has he not been in love? You know what I mean? It's just, I think he's feeling these emotions and he's feeling them very strongly. And I think he is just trying to regain control of his life in some ways. And yes, that does mean murdering an entire civilization, but I think if we abstract it, it is just somebody trying to deal with grief.
Yeah, I stand by it 100%. If I had the capability and there was nobody that was going to be you can't do that, jail or something. Yeah,
sure.
I would definitely kill the entire rest of a race of people that killed my wife. Yes.
Yeah. The world that let this thing happen. Yeah.
I would. Yeah. I would. Especially if I was old and a bone,
Especially if I was a bone.
If I was old and a bone, I would be probably murdering a lot, because I feel like at that point we're just wilding.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with you, India.
I'm not saying I stand by it, but karma, it's real.
The karma comes in the form of a flint sword.
Exactly. But the killing the children thing was sad. I did feel bad about that, but also it happens. This happens a lot in this book.
Yeah, I feel obviously sad about the kids getting murdered. And
that was sad.
AJ, I think you did a great job articulating where Tool is. And I think it is kind of sad. And I think you're correct to call it relatable in a way of someone kind of expressing grief in a kind of indirect or unhealthy or almost a flare of it in this sense.
Definitely. He's letting the emotion take control of him. Definitely.
Yeah. So it just, feels bad. Feels bad.
And I think it definitely felt bad for him too. I think he was ooh, can't believe I'm doing this, but fuck him.
Yeah. Well, it's that kind of thing after the fact where you act on impulse and then you're well, what did that achieve?
Right.
Did that really do anything? Do I feel any better?
And that's a question I ask myself when I want to make rash decisions all the time. What is my outcome here?
Mm-hmm. What are you hoping to get?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Thank you for kind of returning to that subject. It's time to go back to the skies. That's right. We didn't even talk about it. Their keep is flying now too.
Their keep is up now. Also,
Yeah. Amp is uprooted. Oh,
So
it's good.
Yeah, dude.
So good. Love it. You love a sky keep being uprooted. They're kind of flying, and the battle kind of is about to begin. Stormy does peek in on the other battle, but then what's that? Who's cruising in? Woo, woo, woo. Josh, did you think Ikariam was going to be joining the battle?
Peter, I think.
Okay, I know you didn't think it. Is that what you were going to say?
Yeah, but it's also one of those things where it's like, if you put a gun to my head at the beginning of this book and you said, is there a chance that in the final chapter of the book, Ikariam pilots a dead sky city into a Kachanchamal portal to explode it and seal it in time? I would say that chance is non-zero.
it's not zero.
That
Yeah.
tracks.
It's bigger than zero.
You say it, and it's like, yeah, I guess that's plausible.
Yeah.
With the information we have, yes.
Mm-hmm. It's pretty crazy. I'll give you that. Especially after learning he's got a whole goddamn city and Jagged civilization that he made.
Literally
the only
named
Jagged
after him.
civilization to ever exist, as far as we know.
Pretty fucking sick.
Yeah.
We didn't get enough Ikariam in this book.
We didn't
I
get enough
agree.
Ikariam in the series in general.
Facts. Big facts. Spinoff?
We got a lot of angsty Ikariam, and I would like more God Ikariam.
Yeah.
Raiser of Sky Keeps, Destroyer of Time. I would like a little bit more of him.
Destroyer of time.
I wish that he was more aware and less like aloof when we met him.
Yeah.
Do you know what outfits Map on Ikariam would look great in?
Oh God.
Oh,
Okay.
give us a second. Well, first off, I think
Like red shirt and overalls and green shirt and overalls.
No.
I think they would
It's a theme. It's a theme.
It's a theme? Okay. Sexy cowboy.
Interesting.
I would say futuristic.
Okay. Interesting.
okay.
cyberpunk Mappo to carry him.
Yeah, like kind of
Okay.
like
Steampunk
space chic.
Mappo to carry him.
Disco?
Metallics.
Disco?
So, okay, I was thinking, imagine this.
Scooby Doo.
Oh, God. I carry him as Fred.
Imagine this
Fucking take me.
beach theme.
Oh, okay.
All right. Wasn't ready for that.
There's a big beach ball. Maybe one of them's, maybe Ikariam's surfing. He's kind of wearing fun trunks.
He's huge.
Mappo, he's got little
Sunscreen.
sunscreen on it.
I
Yeah.
like Mappo in like an open Hawaiian shirt. That's
Ooh.
nice.
Open Hawaiian shirt.
Camp
Speedo?
color. No.
Speedo?
Mappo's got
Speedo?
taste.
Okay, what's wrong with a Speedo, Josh?
I agree. What's wrong with a Speedo?
All right. I'm the minority here. I'll back off.
Josh, all I'm saying is when you got it, flaunt it,
That's true. That's true. Good for Mappo.
Good for Mappo.
I'm actually looking at what Mappo looks like, and he's ugly.
Okay, don't say
Get
that
his
about
ass-
my guy.
No, get his ass, India.
He has literal tusks.
What has he done for us? Nothing.
Mappo runt.
Mappo's beautiful, okay?
Whoa, that's ugly as fuck. Holy shit, that first picture's terrifying.
Okay, wait, but that's a bad one. Like when you scroll, where he
Oh my fucking
Did you guys
God,
know he
I
had
can't-
tusks?
I
Yes.
forgot.
Of course,
I forgot.
The tusks are hot, of course.
Now this one's giving me real Orc War Chief Grummash Hellscream vibes.
Yeah,
real Hellscream vibes on this one.
Yeah.
We keep doing this
Ikariam.
where we just upload us looking at Malazan art on the podcast.
Yeah, but look at him. He looks.
Shut up. This one's Mappo Runt, but he's just the big guy from Arthur.
That's so funny, Binky.
Yeah, it's just Binky. Posting it into the chat.
Was afraid to post my fan art on the main page. Oh my God! Wow,
So good.
it's really good.
That's fucking hysterical.
Anyway, we're doing the thing again. We're doing it again, gang.
Ikariam's kind of
All right,
hot.
we're good. Yeah.
Ikariam is kind of hot.
Ikariam's kind. I had them mistaken. I had them in the reverse.
Ikariam's definitely hot.
Yeah, for sure.
That's why I said he was going to be a cool surfer guy.
Yeah, that makes sense. I see where that's why I had to look them up because you made these personas I needed to understand.
Oh my God. Somebody made him really hot. Holy shit.
He's obviously one of the hottest characters.
Wait, he has tusks
My official
too. He has
opinion.
tusks too?
They both have tusks.
Yeah, but I think his tusks are a little smaller.
Smaller. That's what I'm seeing. Yeah, he has tiny tusks.
Anyway, should we get back to the book?
And he's blue.
Yes.
He's blue?
So, AJ, Icarium has arrived, looking hot, I guess, established,
Yeah.
and
Flowing locks, apparently.
flowing locks. You see, you kind of see what happens here. You see, there's this portal, there's the Finnest, all this stuff happens. The Sin and Grub show up, the battle's going on. What stands out to you during this chaotic battle?
Man, I don't know. I got to tell you, this battle was not as clear to me as to what was going on as the last battle.
I agree.
Agreed.
I'm so happy to hear you say that. And so to me, it's just like fucking cool. And then I keep reading and I go, fucking cool. And then there's nothing really specific that stands out to me. The word Finnest definitely was like, a Finnest. And now I do not remember what that was about. I did like all the Stormy and Gessler stuff, though, to be fair. All the stuff with Stormy's the one who like gets it at first, right? Or is it Gessler?
What do you mean by gets it?
Like one of them has an immediate hold and like a grasp on like what is going on and how to handle it. And the other one is like, how are you doing that? And they're like, just do this. And they're like, oh, okay, got it. But then they still remain skeptical about the whole thing for some reason. I don't know. I love all of that stuff. And I love seeing them do cool stuff, I guess is all I got there.
Yeah.
Josh, is there a beat that stands out to you on this battle?
No, I think like AJ at this point, I actually am pretty sure I read both of the last two chapters back to back. I think just had like a long day of reading.
It's hard not to. They're
It was really, yeah. So it definitely was kind of blending a little bit towards the end. I mean, it's just sick. I don't know what else you want me to say. It was really cool. But this one, actually, here's what I'll say. The reason the other fight works so well is because the landscape of the battlefield is told through POVs on the ground in those spots. And we don't give a shit about the battle lines. We give a shit about the one or two people in that battle line. Versus this is like, we're playing Risk. And it was a little more abstract to me. I didn't really care. Also, there were Skykeeps shooting lasers at each other. Like, why do I care how the small lizards are doing when the Skykeeps are still here? Also, there's a lot of Kachane Naruk. Like an absolute fuck ton. It's kind of crazy. And AJ, do you remember what book we are introduced to a Kachane Naruk Skykeep? Because it's mentioned last chapter. Quickben's like, we should have known. We saw them reproducing. We know it was happening. Or maybe that was Stormy and Gessler this chapter. Do you remember what book that was?
That was that Bone Hunters?
I personally thought it was like Memories of Ice or some bullshit.
Definitely not Memories of Ice.
It's back there, though.
It's when Quickben is traveling with Trull and Onrak.
Is it the three of them?
And there's a fourth one, I thought. there were four of them. Which makes me think it was Reaper's Gale.
That's a tough one.
But now that you do say that, I can't
I'm looking
believe
it up.
I forgot about that.
Hold on. It is... I think AJ was right. I think AJ's right that it's Bone Hunters. Hold on.
Oh, Bone Hunters.
I'm not 100%. I would agree. I think it's Bone Hunters.
Yes. Quickben, Callum, and Gessler go to gather intelligence. They travel via Priorium. They get somewhere weird, and they discover Skykeeps. At least a dozen Skykeeps.
Yeah. The reason I've been very silent is I'm trying to recall, I believe there's evidence of Skykeeps in Gardens of the Moon.
There was, because when she says that there was a gardens on the moon?
Well, they're talking about Moonspawn, which is the Skykeep that Animator Rake has.
Mm-hmm.
I more meant when they're traveling in the Imperial Warren. I believe in the first book in the Imperial Warren, there's evidence of Skykeeps, unless I'm mistaken.
Damn, that rules. If true.
Big if true.
Anywho's, Inge, did you have anything you wanted to say about this battle before we move on?
I love Sin and Grub. They're cool.
Shout out Sin and Grub. They're cool here.
And the dogs.
Yes, dude. Bent and Roach. Fuck yeah. We're back. Woof, woof.
Woof, woof, bark, bark.
I can't believe we never did a Benton Roach sound cue,
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't feel like making one.
Okay.
So I think we just say woof woof bark bark when they show up.
Woof woof bark bark.
Bark bark woof woof.
Although isn't maybe one more of a yip yip?
I think
Roach.
it's still a pretty big dog.
No, it's a little dog because Bent carries Roach in his mouth sometimes. And he's a cattle dog. Bent.
Okay.
Thank you for saying that. In my mind, I was like, isn't one of them a really tiny dog? But
Yeah,
I don't know that much about dog breeds. So I
yeah,
didn't
one's really small.
Damn. I guess fuck me, I guess.
Yeah, question, Pete. The Trickle Trade Guild wagon was attacked by the Shiggle assassin, right? Yes. Was he originally trying to take a couple of them to be the Mortal Sword and the Shield Anvil, and then had to pivot to take Stormy and Gessler?
Interesting theory.
Now knowing that that's why what he was doing to Stormy and Gessler, did he like originally pick two others over there?
Mappo and
Gruntle would be a great pair. I mean, Gruntle's already the Mortal Sword of Trake, but I mean, is this never gonna? Do we never find this? I think Pete's got that. It's a good question, and it's never answered.
India, how are you feeling about we do briefly touch him with the Talana Mass Talk and Olar Athil. How are you feeling leaving that storyline, this book?
I always wonder. Talk is just such an interesting character that always comes back, I feel. I don't know. I'm like, it doesn't feel over. I feel like I'll see him soon.
Yeah. Maybe. Who knows? Not me.
Oh, who knows?
AJ, what's that? The boys are back in town. Hood links up with his old college friends for one last gasp.
You're hysterical. Yeah. You're fucking hysterical. That's funny.
What did you make of our the Tusk squad over here?
Tusk squad, best squad.
Okay, yet when I say I want to ally with the Jaguts, everyone's attacking me.
I simply stated the Jaghut love to fight. That is all I said, okay?
Anyway, sorry.
No, yeah, I mean, I don't know what you want me to say. It's fucking cool. Like, it's just like, it's more that stuff that like is like, yeah, this fucking rules. I love that this is happening. I'm having a great time putting my eyes on it.
Well, then if you have nothing else to add, then we should touch on the last thing that happens in Dust of Dreams. And Josh,
should I have more to add? Like, I don't...
these three rapscallion elder gods kind of crack open the Otateral dragon Carabas. What did you make of this?
I mean, it seems like that's going to be pretty important next book. I don't really know what else you want me to say about it. The Otateral dragon's been kind of teased a whole bunch. We're finally going to see something about it. Pretty excited for that. Also, fucking sick what Featherwitch did to whatchamacallit.
The Errant?
The Errant, yes. Absolutely great. Fuck that dude. I'm glad his eye got used as a finist. I said it.
He said the damn thing. All right. Listen, everyone, we're going to take a brief break. And then when we come back, we are going to talk Dust of Dreams, our thoughts in entirety. Just a little bit.
Let me just start off by saying what a power move to end a book with the phrase, why not? I loved it. That was great.
Thank you. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you staying for this little extra little class here at the end. No chapters. We're just having a little freeform discussion, baby.
Yeah, this is in lieu of doing our mailbag wrap up.
There will be no mailbag wrap up, and I think we're all on the same page that book 9 really is a part of the book 9-10 experience.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the criteria or how you want to approach talking about book 9, but now that we have went through a bunch of new storylines, been to a lot of new places, met a lot of new characters, I mean, a whole novel has passed, so I do think we should at least touch on our feelings. India, what did you make of Dust of Dreams?
Dust of Dreams is pretty good, honestly. I think we learned a lot of things. A lot of things came together in Dust of Dreams. Like, a lot of questions were answered. And it really wasn't, like, painfully slow. It was a pretty, like, fast-paced book, I thought. 3.5 stars.
Interesting. Aj, what did you make of Dust of Dreams? Book 9.
Yeah, I mean, I came out I come out of this book feeling really hot on it. I think these last few chapters are like, I don't know, it feels like I'm getting a pat on the back for reading the ends of all the other books. Like, this is like the cool, sick fantasy battle shit that like every other book is like leading up to, and then something else happens. But in this book, it leads up to it, and then it does happen, and it is fucking rad. So I loved the end of this book. I think this final book, chapters 19 to 24, fucking rip. They're so good. And I don't know, I think it's really interesting looking back at the beginning of this book. Like you said, Pete, a lot of new characters, a lot of new stuff going on. We're in a different place. We're going somewhere new. I think the beginning of this book, I was really unsure where I was going to land on it. But I think as stuff began to crystallize and as I began to finally get into more of the storylines, and after the whole Icarium ghost weirdness storyline actually came to like, it's just Icarium now, I'm like, okay, I got it. I think the last, third or more of this book is like nothing but joy. I mean, it's a very sad book, obviously, but like I had a great time reading it for the most part. I do think it's also interesting to say that like this is, I think, maybe the saddest book in the series, deals with some of the heaviest shit, and I come out feeling just absolutely jazzed.
Interesting. Awesome to hear your thoughts. Josh, why don't you take over? What do you think?
Great book. 10 out of 10. Sorry, 9 out of 10.
Oh yeah, nice, good one.
Thank you.
Because it's book 9 out of 10.
Yes. No, I think it's incredible. I'm shocked it sticks the landing as well as it does. I feel like for a book that so much of it is just priming you for the next book, the fact that it works itself as its own narrative so well is incredible. It's awesome. People who burn out on this book, because I've heard that this is a book that some people quit on. Fucking why?
I mean, Josh, it's a heavy book.
You're not. I could kill a man with it. So I get you.
Nice.
It's heavy physically
and emotionally heavy.
And emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
It's a huge fucking book. It's a huge book.
The work is quite dense.
Yeah. All right. I take it. Maybe I came off a little harsh. If you quit on this book, I'm sorry you had a bad time with it.
No, I agree. I feel like you have one left. At that point, just finish the series. Like what?
Exactly. All right, I'm back on it. You're a coward. Finish the series.
I have to tell you, I feel kind of blown away right now. I feel like I used to feel pretty mixed on Dust of Dreams. It was probably one of the books I was less interested in. And some of that had to do with the time of my life when I read it. I don't know if I was really looking for the bummingest book of all. But I definitely really enjoyed it a lot more this time round. And I think in a classic way, I think just knowing ahead of time that you were going to follow a lot of these storylines that started a little far off from other places, or maybe had a lot of new characters, and that was kind of what the story and shape of this book was. So I think knowing a lot of that stuff going in helped me enjoy it more. And I definitely had a more positive Dust of Dreams experience. Although I do agree with AJ. It's like it's the bummer book in a way, in my mind. Not that I don't think there's hope within the book. I think there is some storylines there that aren't as heavy, but yeah, it's not a light read. It's not a beach read. Okay. This is not a beachy book, my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah. As someone who started reading this book on the beach, definitely not.
I don't think we should do a whole ranking. I think that would be inappropriate.
It's up there.
But here's all I would ask you, all three of you. What do you think? High end, low end?
High end.
High end for sure.
High end, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's definitely up there with Memories of Ice and Midnight Tides.
I think this book makes me appreciate Memories of Ice in a lot of different ways.
Memories of Ice is always going to be my favorite.
I think this one makes me... I've recently been putting Memories of Ice slightly lower, and I think a lot of this book makes me look back at Memories of Ice and rethink some things.
It is really interesting how much setup in Memories of Ice there is for this book. And like also, I mean, it's not exclusive to Memories of Ice. You know, there's like so much of the stuff, obviously, because this is the 9th book, but there's so much stuff in like all the books leading up to this one that lead to this book. But like, I don't know, to see the clear callbacks and results of Memories of Ice is really interesting. Pete's got a big smile on their face.
This is just a surreal experience. I feel like you didn't speak this way about Toll the Hounds, you know?
Correct.
You're just, and that's what's blowing my mind. I can't handle it over here.
I want to say this because not everyone's going to listen to the Epigraphs episode. I talked to Peter about how I think Toll of Hounds is much like for Peter. Peter has, you know, just what their feelings on Dust of Dreams. That's how I feel about Toll of Hounds after having done the Epigraphs, where I think this book has immediately grabbed me. And I think I was a little cold on Toll of Hounds. And now that I am removed from it, I already want to reread it.
That's a dangerous thing to say on this podcast, Josh.
I told Peter already that I want to reread the whole series because of reading the Toll the Hounds Epigraphs. Wow.
Josh said it on main. He said it on main.
Yeah.
All right. Listen, I'm honestly stoked you guys had such positive Dust of Dreams thoughts. I, as I said, enjoyed my read through as well. Maybe that'll do it for us here today. Thanks for staying after. I'm glad we were able to wrap up some Dust of Dreams thoughts. As always, let us know what you think of the show at 10 Very Big Books and at Gmail and Twitter. And the next time you'll hear us will be when we're opening up the 10th Very Big Book here on 10 Very Big Books. A momentous episode, baby.
I just got full body goosebumps. You know?
All right, absolutely stoked. When I say come, you say passion. Come.
Passion!
Hello, everybody. Producer AJ here, and I forgot to write an intro thing after that. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the podcast. If you'd like to give us your thoughts or feelings about this or any of our episodes, you can always email us 10verybigbooks@gmail.com, tweet us at 10verybigbooks, or you can head on over to our Discord, bit.ly/VBB Discord. That's capital V, capital B, capital B, capital D, Discord. That link will also be in our show notes. Thank you to all of our wonderful patrons over on Patreon. If you'd like to financially support the show, you can head on over to patreon.com/10verybigbooks. That link will also be in the show notes. And as always, thank you so very much to Dan Gazarick for making our spectacular cover art. You can follow him on Twitter at @A_W_Dan_G for the hottest Chuck Fletcher takes. Thank you as well to resident guy drawer Scout Wilkinson for the special art she will be providing for this season. You can follow her at twitter.com/humblegoat. And of course, the wonderful music in today's episode, including the remixed intro and outro track, is by the one, the only Amaranthin from his album Simulant Rain, which you can find along with his other music on bandcamp.com. Links to their pages will be in the show notes, and 10 Very Big Books will be back in 2 weeks on March 17th, talking the beginning of the end, the Crippled God, chapters 1 and 2. I'll talk to you then, and thank you so much for listening.
He's rude and
good. Yeah, there you go. Now you got it.
He's great.
Now I'm just going to see him as Tony. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he's just
God.
Tony, but he has a big ice sword, you know?
Tony the Immortal Tiger.
Yeah.
Tiger God.
Shockingly, not the mortal sort of trait, though.
He guards the wall.
Frosted Blades.
Oh, there it is.
Damn!
Was so good.
Holy shit!
Wow, guys, thanks. Thanks so much.